Mature content. The following stream contains content that may not be suitable for all audiences, including mature themes, strong language, and potentially sensitive material. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's up, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for being here. We are going to continue Wendi Adelson's testimony from day 2 of the trial. I was planning.
Because I'm going to bunk with you, buddy. We're going to be buddies. We're going to be.
Jesse, a member for 8 months. Thank you so much, Jesse, for being a beau for 8 months. I was planning on streaming this week, but I had a cold. And so I didn't, but I wanted on the record that I did not complain of dying. Despite my dire situation, I did not complain that I was dying once. Actually, I think I did one time because Shannon was not really caring how much I was dying. Only one time. I was sick for like a week. I'm still congested. It's ridiculous. Anyway, thanks for being here. Let's continue with the testimony of Wendi Adelson from day 2 of the trial. We are on cross with the rationator. So if you haven't taken your blood pressure medication, take it now. There's Babe. She knows, a true American soldier. That is correct. But before, it is April. It's the beginning of the month, so I get to give out some membies. Let's see. I gotta do that like from YouTube. 1 second. Let me give out some memberships. It's always weird how you have to do this when you. All right. So we go here. We go. Engage your audience. No, that's not what I want. Let's. Membership gifting. All right. Here we go. 5 people are gonna get some gifted membies, and then we'll start. So let's gift them out. Boom. DJ, nice. Cindy, Tatted Tea, Donna's Banana Bread, and Ashley. Welcome to the fam. Capri Suns in the chat. Let us start. Let's pop out the chat here so I see it. Let's. Oh, now I gotta get the overlay. 1 second here. Let's get this over to this. And there she is. The worst. Just update this. Edit widget. And just gotta put this over here. I don't even know if I have to do this, but I do it. What's up, Zach, Bonnie, Kai, Cindy, Pokemon, DJ, Irene, Alessia, Marissa, Carrie. Oh, by the way, Babe is working on, a lot of people asked. First of all, if you haven't checked out her video on trial style, please check that out. It's great. From the Karen Reed trial, she did some trial fashion analysis, but secondly, she's working on her final video for the book review on Wendi Adelson's terrible book. So she's working on that as we speak. Hey, Chloe and Sally. So let's get to it. Here we go.
And Charlie were. Do you recall that?
There's Roushy.
Do you recall that your parents and Charlie were quite excited to come watch you in Tallahassee at this event in August?
Yes.
Do you recall your brother saying he couldn't wait to book a ticket, that it was fucking awesome?
Yeah, he was very excited.
And since it's Rauschbaum, we're going to put this on at least 1.25.
Do you recall discussing with Professor Markel who would have custody of the boys during various trips in August and September of 2014?
Yes,
Do you recall having those discussions in July of 2014?
that would make sense, yeah.
Do you recall scheduling a whole host of meetings after July 18th, 2014?
Yes,
Let me be more precise. Before July 18th, 2014, do you recall scheduling a bunch of meetings that were to occur after July 18th, 2014 in Tallahassee?
yes,
Do you recall making plans with a friend moving to Tallahassee for July 25th, 2014?
I don't.
Let me see.
And just a reminder, Dan Rauschbaum is not Wendi Adelson's attorney, but damn, does he not seem like he's defending her in this case.
If I can refresh your memory. Do you know an individual named Tahira Lee?
I do.
May I approach Your Honor with Defense Exhibit 15? And I would direct you to the email on June 17, 2014, which I think is the fourth email on the first page, and see if that refreshes your memory. And feel free to look at the whole document.
I see it, but you were asking if they were moving to Tallahassee on the 25th, or if I...
No.
Read to yourself, Ms. Adelson, don't reply.
Okay, sorry.
I'll repeat the question.
Okay.
Do you recall making plans with her, where you said you would make plans with her after August 25th, 2014, because your family was coming to town?
Yes.
And that happened, that correspondence was in late June of 2014?
Yes.
Do you recall in June, you can put that aside now.
Okay.
Do you recall in June of 2014, late June of 2014, expressing interest in joining the board of a Tallahassee-based child advocacy nonprofit called American Children's Campaign?
I do.
That was in Tallahassee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall scheduling a meeting for July 23rd, 2014, with a Professor Van Dern with the FSU College of Medicine?
So I don't, but I ran a medical legal partnership, so I would have been setting up meetings with
Thanks, DJ Miller, for the super chat, and thank you, Kathy, for the Venmo. Thank you, thank you.
the medical school, with the law school, with the social school, so that would have been normal, but I don't remember it specifically.
May I approach, Your Honor? Does this refresh your recollection that you were scheduling a meeting with Professor Van Dern for July 23rd of 2014?
Yes.
Do you recall schedule? You can put that aside.
Okay.
Do you recall scheduling a meeting with your divorce lawyer to meet any time of the week of July 21, 2014?
Again, I don't remember specifically, but it sounds like it would have been made sense for the time.
Do you know an individual named Cindy Jean?
I do.
Do you remember emailing her and asking her if the kids were available to go swimming at the pool on July 19th to 20th?
I don't remember, but it sounds like something I would have asked.
May I approach, Your Honor, with Defense Exhibit 20 for identification purposes only?
Right.
Does this refresh your memory about trying to set up that play date for July 20th or July 19th with Miss Jean?
Yes.
You can put that aside. Do you recall that your mom planned to visit Tallahassee in November of 2014?
I don't remember that.
I'm showing, may I approach, Your Honor, with Defense Exhibit 21 for identification purposes only?
Right.
Please take a look at this.
Seriously, these questions.
Yes.
Does this refresh your memory that your parents planned on being in Tallahassee on November 17th? Does that
Yes.
refresh your memory? You can put that aside. Do you recall asking your parents to come to Tallahassee on August 1, 2014 for a birthday party with Ben, for Ben?
I don't remember doing that, but that sounds, it's close in time to his birthday.
May I approach your honor with Defense Exhibit 22?
You may.
Thank you, Julie. And yes, she sure does.
Does this refresh your recollection?
Dog look rolling on the floor, laughing face with tears of joy.
She always does try to have that look, and it's so nauseating. By the way, the real question I have about these future plans is, when did they plan the movers? When did they plan? You know, Wendi went down immediately with her mom and dad. When did they plan the movers? I want to know. I want the invoice for the movers. I have the police report. I've never seen that in there. I've never seen any testimony regarding that. She alleges she had like an overnight, like a quick overnight bag or whatever, and like took her stuff and go. When did they plan that? When did they? Was that, you know? I mean,
That you were going to have a birthday party for Ben in Tallahassee in early August of 2014?
That's right.
You can put that aside. And that your parents were going to come up for that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall making flight reservations to travel to Newark and then back to Tallahassee? So you're going to leave from Tallahassee and go to Newark, come back to Tallahassee for a wedding in October 2014.
I do.
And you made those reservations in July of 2014. Do you recall that?
I don't recall when I made the reservation, but I remember the wedding.
May I approach your honor with Defense Exhibit 23?
You may.
Does it
Yes.
your recollection that the reservation was made sometime around July 14th, 2014?
Yes.
That you were booking tickets for a wedding in New Jersey on October 24th, 2014?
Yes.
And the cost of those tickets were over $400, right?
That's right.
You put that aside. Those tickets weren't to go back to Miami, were they?
No, it was Tallahassee to Newark, Newark to Tallahassee.
Why did you make those tickets to go back to Tallahassee?
That is where I lived.
oh God, that's
We're gonna move on to another story.
makes me so mad.
Ms. Kappelman talked a little bit yesterday about the litigation that occurred after the relocation litigation with Professor Markel. You recall that?
I do.
And there were these pieces of litigation back and forth about money and about filing false affidavits. You remember those?
Yes.
There was what was called the motion against your mom that Professor Markel filed. You recall that, right?
I do.
Okay.
The motion against your mom. That just sounds funny.
With regards to the motion that Professor Markel filed claiming that you and your attorney filed a false affidavit, did you get the sense that you were going to prevail on that litigation?
Yes.
Was the judge getting frustrated with Professor Markel on that litigation?
Very.
Did the judge admonish Professor Markel regarding that litigation?
The judge said he needed to stop.
Were you concerned about getting disbarred?
No.
I want to talk a little bit about Jeff Lacasse. You first met Mr. Lacasse in the fall of 2013.
Yes.
It was casual at first.
It was.
You were dating other people as well.
I was.
It got more serious around March of 2014.
That's right.
Fair to say he was in love with you?
I don't really remember. I don't think I could say, but it was more serious.
Okay. You weren't so sure about him. Is that fair to say?
I think my feelings developed over time,
And then they undeveloped?
and then they undeveloped.
You were very different people? from very different backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
He didn't spend much time with your parents, right?
I think maybe he met them once.
He wanted to meet them more than once, right? He didn't like that he didn't get to see them more times.
I think he wanted to be more integrated into my life.
Jeff Lacasse met Charlie Adelson one time in March of 2014, right?
That's right.
He accompanied you on a trip with law students, right?
I used to run an alternative spring break, and he came with me.
And you decided to come down to South Florida for a day or two, right?
That's right.
And you had dinner at a place called Yardbird, right?
That's right.
Are you aware that that happened on March 11th, 2014?
No, I don't remember the date, just that it was during the spring break.
Fair enough. You remember sitting outside on the patio?
I do.
And it was you and Mr. Lacasse and Charlie and a woman named Catherine Magbanowa. Do you recall that?
That's right.
Who was Charlie's girlfriend at the time.
Yes.
Are you aware that Sigfredo Garcia was watching you at that dinner?
No.
Are you aware that he was contemplating running your brother over with his car at that dinner?
No.
After dinner, you and Jeff Lacasse stayed at Charlie's house, right?
We did.
Miss Magbanowa wasn't there, right?
I don't remember her being there.
It was just the three of you.
I think so.
And you left the next morning.
We did.
Now, you and Mr. Lacasse started having issues around May of 2014. Is that fair to say?
That sounds about right.
You started to become nervous around him?
I don't really remember if I was nervous around him, but I started thinking it wasn't the right relationship.
He started accusing you of being unfaithful, right?
He did.
He accused you of having an affair with someone that you had previously dated?
He did.
Excuse me. You told him that you didn't. You denied it.
That's right.
And he didn't believe you.
He did not.
And before this individual that you used to date, you had coffee with at a place called All Saints in Tallahassee, right?
I did.
And Mr. Lacasse saw you having coffee with this individual, right?
He did.
And that caused a confrontation. Is that fair to say?
He flew into a rage.
I mean, any time where there's a question of facts between Wendy's version of events and Jeff's version of events, just always going to believe Jeff. I mean, Wendy's a liar and Jeff tells the truth. So I'm just always, whatever the event is, if it's between those two, and if you're someone who's watched all these trials, Wendi lies, Jeff tells the truth.
Subsequently, he went through your phone and planner, right?
He did.
And this is around May, June of 2014?
That sounds right.
And you and Mr. Lacasse went to Gainesville for a weekend for his work at some point around this time frame.
Yes.
And that Saturday night, June 28th, he basically exploded at you.
He did.
He yelled at you for hours.
He did.
He accused you of having affairs with multiple people.
He did.
You were very upset, to say the least.
I was devastated. Yep.
Now, you were scheduled to leave for South Florida, I believe it was on June 30th or June 29th, to celebrate your dad's 70th birthday, right?
That sounds right.
And Mr. Lacasse wasn't invited.
No.
You went down to South Florida on June 30th, and you and the boys stayed with your parents, right?
We did.
You had the boys with you the whole time.
Yes.
Dan Markell didn't have the boys at that point in time. The boys were with you.
Yes.
And Charlie knew that, right?
Yes, he was with us.
Your mom planned a big party for the birthday.
She did.
Now, I think when Miss Kappelman asked you if the birthday fell on a Saturday, you weren't sure.
I remembered it being on his actual birthday, which I thought was a Saturday, but I don't remember the calendar from 2014.
May I approach Your Honor with Defendant's Exhibit 25?
Yeah, and also with Jeff has the ability to like take a step back and like be reflective on a situation, like, yeah, like I was under her web, or yeah, like I believe things about Dan that I shouldn't have. He'll admit to like things that aren't great looking for like him, whereas we all know Wendi will never admit to anything that would make her look not like she's the just princess of the world.
Ms. Adelson, does this refresh your recollection that July 5th, 2014 was on a Saturday?
Yes.
And that the party was at 7:30 p.m. or
Yes.
thereabouts?
Mhm.
Put that aside.
Motions against your mom. Oh, this might be my new favorite name other than Donna's tiny ear canals.
Now, when you got back to Tallahassee, you saw Mr. Lacasse on July 13th.
That sounds right.
And when you saw him, it was not a good meeting. Is that fair to say? It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You saw him the next day at a yoga studio,
I went to yoga and he wanted to come.
and it was awkward
It was.
and kind of tense.
It was.
And he asked to see you again later that week,
He did.
and you didn't want to.
I did not.
And when you got home that night, you sent him an email asking him not to contact you for at least 7 days, that you wanted to think things over. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
You never saw him again, right?
No?
Funny that time frame, you know, if you're new to this case, but the thought is she didn't want him coming over, you know, and seeing that she already had packed shit up. And her house, I mean, there's no proof of that I'm aware of, but it just sure seems like she sent that email, Jeff, don't come here, because perhaps he saw that she was packing shit up, and with the TVs, when that happened, he wasn't allowed to like go in. She wouldn't let him leave and go get another TV from another room. Again, another thought that maybe, hey, shit was packed up.
There was a first attempt. Are you now aware that there was a first attempt on your ex-husband's life on June 4th and June 4th, 5th of 2014?
Yes.
When you lived with Professor Markel on Trescott, was your address publicly listed?
I believe so.
Can I have one moment, Your Honor? A schedule for the Markel children?
Very well.
What the hell was that?
A schedule for the Markel children?
Very well. Stipulation of fact. Members of the jury, when the parties agree that certain facts are true, that is called a stipulation of fact. You must accept stipulated facts as having been proven. However, the significance of these facts, as with all facts, is for you to decide. In this case, the stipulated facts that you must accept are true are: the Markel children were enrolled at Creative Preschool located in Tallahassee.
All right, so this stipulation, for folks who may be new or don't know, the reason he's reading this the reason he's reading this is because, as you know, if you don't know, but Tato says in the proffer, and I don't know if he said it in this trial, but in the first trials, that they see this woman walking with two kids. Sigfredo says that's Wendi with the kids. She's checking to make sure things are going on, checking to see that everything is going as planned. That's what Tato says. But this stipulation will confirm that it couldn't have been Wendi that they saw with two kids at least.
This is for you to decide. In this case, the stipulated facts that you must accept are true are: the Markel children were enrolled at Creative Preschool located in Tallahassee. During the week of July 14th, 2024, their drop-off pickup schedule was as follows. Monday, July 14th, 2024, dropped off at 8:55 a.m. by Dan Markel, picked up at 5 p.m. by Dan Markel. Tuesday, July 15th, 2014, Dropped off at 8:25 a.m. by Dan Markel, picked up at 4:50 p.m. by Dan Markel. Wednesday, July 16th, 2014, dropped off at 9 a.m. by Dan Markel, picked up at 4:30 p.m. by Wendi Adelson. Thursday, July 17th, 2014, dropped off at 8:30 a.m. by Wendi Adelson, picked up at 4:45 p.m. by Dan Markel. Friday, July 18th, 2014, dropped off at 8:50 a.m. by Dan Markel.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I want to first focus your attention on the July 17, 2014 schedule. On July 17, 2014, as Your Honor just recited, you recall dropping the kids off at school at 8:30 in the morning.
Yes.
And Professor Markel picked them up at 4:45 p.m. on that day, thereabouts.
Which I just heard, but I wouldn't have known what time.
You didn't pick them up that day.
No, it wasn't my day.
So it would be impossible, the person would be wrong if they said that they saw you and the kids by Professor Markel's house in the afternoon or morning of July 17, 2014, correct?
It would be some other woman and some other kids.
You spoke to your mom probably close to daily, right?
Yeah.
During this time period. She would know when you had the kids and didn't have the kids, right?
Probably.
Now I want to go back to something briefly that we talked about yesterday before we stopped. You knew that Professor Markel posted his travel plans on Facebook and on his Profs blog, right?
Yes.
He would talk about places and conferences that he was speaking at, right?
You would.
Are you aware that on the weekend of the 20th, he was supposed to speak at a conference in New Jersey, and he posted it on Prof's blog as well as on Facebook?
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about Best Buy. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm showing you what's marked for identification purposes only as Defense Exhibit 29 and 30.
Yeah, Tato was an active member on the Profs blog. Big fan of the Profs blog, Tato. Can't read, couldn't read, but new Profs blog.
Looking at Defense Exhibit 29, does that refresh your recollection that the warranty was under your father's name for
Yes.
that TV?
Mm-hmm.
A warranty with the Geek Squad?
Yes.
Now, before you look at Exhibit 20, do you recall that your mother scheduled the appointment for the TV to be fixed with this Geek Squad?
I remember that I scheduled it, but it looks like she scheduled it and gave me the number to call in case I needed to reschedule it.
And in fact, she emailed you on July 11th and told you if you can't keep the appointment on the 18th, call this number to reschedule it, right?
Yes.
You can put that aside. I want to talk a little bit more about July 18th. Do you recall leaving your house that day on Aqua Ridge Ray around 12:30 in the afternoon?
I do.
And you were going to meet a friend for lunch at a place called Mosaic.
Yes.
But you had to pick up a bottle of, I don't know if it's bourbon or whiskey. I don't even know.
That's a little. I don't know if I probably have noticed this before. I think I did, but you had to pick up a body. What a slip there, Rauschbaum. You had to pick up a body.
But you had to pick up a bottle of, I don't know if it's bourbon or whiskey. I don't even know if they're the same thing. But Bullet whiskey.
It was bourbon.
Okay. It was for your friend's wedding shower that night?
They were having a stock the bar party, so they asked for specific kinds of alcohol to stock the bar.
And I'm showing you what's marked as Defense Exhibit 32. Is this the invitation that you received?
Yes, that's it.
And I know people have asked me this and commented. It is a legit. The Stock the Bar party was a legit thing, and as you can see there, you can kind of see it in the thing that she's holding. It was a legit thing.
Judge, I would move Defense Exhibit 32 into evidence at this point in time.
Objection.
Here's Your Honor.
Exception.
State of mind.
You can provide me with the exhibit.
Do you recall on the left-hand corner of the invitation, it says, help the bride and groom stock the bar for their wedding and bring a bottle of Bullet bourbon? Do you recall that?
Yes.
You can put that aside.
Look at Charlie. He's like, yeah, I'm innocent.
Do you recall that?
Yes.
Bullet bourbon. It all adds up. Look
You can
at
put that
me.
aside.
I didn't do it.
Now, you decided to go to ABC Liquors on Bedden Road to look for the bourbon, right?
I did.
You're not a big drinker, is that fair to say?
You decided to drive completely out of the way when there were two liquor stores right next to Mosaic, but you just had to go to the one that was completely out of the way that just happened to have your ex-husband's house on the way and go down his street, which would have been out of the way too.
That is fair to say.
You went to that store because you were familiar with it?
I'd seen it close to my house, so
Close to your old house?
close to my old house.
There could have been liquor stores that were closer to your current house?
Sure.
Now, when you drove to ABC Liquor, you tried to go through Trescott. Is
I
that
did.
fair to say?
It was blocked.
There are other ways to go to ABC Liquor, right? You could have gone down other roads.
I don't have the best sense of direction, so when I find a route, I just kind of keep using that route. I don't look for something else.
Okay. You got to Mosaic at around 1 p.m.,
That sounds right.
and your lunch was interrupted by investigator Isom, who told you that something had happened.
That's right.
You went with him voluntarily to speak
did.
with him?
Oh, she went with them voluntarily and spoke for hours. She really tried to help this case, except after that, she never called again. Isom calls her and she goes, we got some interference here. My signal's breaking, hangs up, and then her lawyer calls. But yeah, she helped so much. Then she never talked again. She literally did that and hung up on him, and then he got a call from the lawyer and never talked to them again. But she really tried to help solve this case.
Let police search your car?
Yes.
Oh, she let him search the car.
You were interviewed with the investigator from approximately 2:45 p.m. until 7:50 p.m.?
Yes.
He told you that your ex-husband had been shot and was unlikely to survive, right?
Yes.
You were in shock.
Yes.
You were pretty open with police, telling them a lot of things, right?
They kept telling me they needed my help, and so I kept trying to help.
Now, you remember on direct, Ms. Kappelman asked you about this interview.
Yes.
And she asked you about all the people you mentioned during the interview, including Charlie.
Yes.
And you said I was just wheeling off names, right?
Yes.
In fact, isn't the first person in the interview that you mentioned was yourself?
Yes.
You said that you would understand if you were viewed as the prime suspect, right?
Yes.
Before you mentioned anyone else, you mentioned yourself.
Yes.
You told them about the motion to relocate.
I did.
You told them about the fight you had with Professor Markel that very morning about some swimming for the boys.
Yes.
You were spitting.
It's just such hilarious. The defense is, well, I just named everyone that I thought could be involved, and I'm like, if it was me, like I would never, like I know my brother would never do that, or my wife, or my parents, like that would just never. I would say never. No, that's never. That would be impossible. Not her. She like, well, they had some motives. I'll tell you the truth.
Out a lot of ideas.
I was.
And you agreed to let the police search your phone.
Yes.
You agreed to let the police search your car.
Yes.
That's where they found that picture that I wasn't able to admit of the invitation to the Bull of Bourbon, right?
Yeah.
You agreed to be fingerprinted.
Yes.
You agreed to be checked for gunshot residue.
Yes.
You gave them your computer to be searched.
I did.
Towards the end of your interview, you asked the police officer if you could call your parents, right?
I did.
And the police allowed you to do that.
Yes.
And you called your mother's cell phone sometime around 7:04 p.m.
Yes.
And you spoke to your mom. I don't know if you remember, but do you remember your dad being in the shower because they were going out to dinner?
I don't remember.
Your mom didn't answer, actually, the first call, and you called back a couple minutes later and she answered. Do you recall that?
I don't.
And when you called your mom, she was surprised.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Crochet Hooker. Wait, I don't think that's supposed to be funny, but thank you so much, Crochet Hooker. I don't understand the question.
I don't understand the question. Is it a question? So guilty.
So guilty is correct.
And you asked her to call Charlie and tell him what happened, right?
Yes.
You didn't speak with Charlie that day, right?
I don't think so.
On July 19th, the next day, you spoke to Charlie at 10:50 in the morning. You won't know the exact time, but do you recall speaking with him in the morning?
I honestly don't.
Do you recall letting him know that Professor Markel had passed away in the early morning?
I don't remember the conversation.
When your parents came directly to Tallahassee, correct?
They did.
They stopped in Orlando, and they got there on the morning of the 19th, right?
Yes.
And when they got there, they were scared and frantic, right?
Yes.
Your dad didn't sleep. He couldn't get police protection, so he planted his chair in the front of your window to make sure that no one was going to come to your house and shoot it up, right?
Correct.
Brooklyn Janet, love you. Thank you so much.
Love you, Jay.
Now, you all attended a memorial service on the 20th, right?
Yes.
And you arranged for the Markels to see the boys after the memorial service, right?
They all came over my house.
Thank you, DJ. Thank you. You're the best, DJ. Brooklyn Janet, I am not going to her trial, but I do plan on taking off at least a few days to cover some of it. And the days I can't cover it live, I'll do recaps at night. But I'm going to try to take maybe the first week off and try to cover it, I think, at this point. Trying to save some vacation days. But no, I'm not going.
And you left Tallahassee, correct?
Not on the 20th. No.
On the 21st.
Yes.
And when you left Tallahassee on the 21st, did you bring all your belongings?
I brought some swimsuits for the boys and some pajamas, and I thought we'd be back in a day or two.
That is just such a lie. She brought some swimsuits, and she thought she would be back in a day or two.
Because I'm going to bunk with you, buddy. We're going to be buddies. We're going to be pals.
Joanne gifting out a membership. Thank you so much. Motion Against Your Mom, a member for a year as a bow. Thank you so much. Motion Against Your Mom. It's just such a lie. And like, again, if we're thinking of it, if we want to believe the story that there's, obviously it's not, the blackmail, the extortion layaway plan, the extortion, why would, if Charlie knew and Donna knew that the killers were extorting them, and the killers lived in Miami, or they lived in South Miami, Why would they say, hey, Wendi, kids, come on down, live with us closer to the killers because we know who they are and they're blackmailing us. But you guys come down here. That's a good idea. And rather than staying there where it's safe away from them, come down and live with us. That makes a lot of sense.
And when you left, you were not yourself.
I was a mess.
You got to South Florida and you realized that you could not take care of the boys alone at this point in time.
I hadn't slept in days and I was terrified.
To get a little more specific, you wouldn't leave the house.
No.
And you would hardly eat.
I wasn't eating, no.
Hey, Mom.
And ultimately, you decided not to come back to Tallahassee.
I mean, I made that decision much later, but...
And you had a friend who you grew up with, I think a last name Keener, go back and get more stuff at your house, right?
He did.
I don't know if I remember this. So she has I want to talk to that friend. I want to get, maybe during Wendy's trial, I want to get that friend on the stand. What was that conversation like? What did the house look like when you went to it?
Get more stuff at your house, right? Who you grew up with, I think a last name Keener, go back and get more stuff at your house, right?
He did.
We have one more moment, Your Honor. Now, it's been said in this courtroom that you have tried to erase Professor Markel's memory from your boy's life. Is that true?
It's not true.
For the first 2 years after the murder, did you limit Professor Markel's family from seeing the boys?
Absolutely not.
In fact, they had complete access to the boys, right?
100%.
They made dinners with the boys?
I cooked dinner for them, yes, every time they visited.
There were sleepovers and play dates?
Again, just think about his questioning right now, how does it help in the defense of his client, Charlie Adelson? Asking Wendi these questions. Tell me.
That's right.
I gotta get some tissues and roll my
There was no animosity at all, right?
No.
And then in October of 2016, things changed, right?
Yes.
A letter was released where there was a suggestion that Professor Markel's mom was talking to the state about arranging custody for the boys in case you got arrested.
Yes.
And you saw that as a betrayal.
Well, the custody was foster care, so yes.
You saw that as her thinking that you killed her son.
Yes.
And as a result of that, rightly or wrongly, you decided to limit their access.
I was afraid they were going to put my children in foster care.
Do your children know anything about their father?
They know a lot about their dad.
Do they have a picture of him in their bedroom?
Each boy has a picture of them and their dad over their bed that we say good morning to and good night to every day.
Did you benefit?
If you believe that statement, I mean, come on. Thank you so much, Joanne. Member for 18 months. Can't wait for Grandma Gotti's trial and arrest of Wendi. Same girl, same.
Each boy has a picture of them and their dad over their bed that we say good morning to and good night to every day.
Did you benefit from Professor Markel's death?
No.
Well, you got to live in South Florida.
It's not a benefit.
It's not a benefit? Then why did you make a motion to try to move there?
How are your boys doing?
They're doing very well, thank you.
How has your job prospects been since this case hit the news?
Objection, relevance.
How are you doing?
Objection, relevance.
Has this affected your life?
That's the best. Oh, Georgia really hadn't objected much. I love. How are you doing? Relevant? Nope, not relevant. No one cares how you're doing, you asshole. Oh, I love that, Judge Everett. Oh, I loved it. How are you doing, Wendi? Not relevant. No one gives a shit. Hopefully, it's terrible.
How are you doing?
Objection, relevance.
Has this affected your life negatively or positively?
Negatively.
Does Charlie love his nephews?
Very much.
May I have one moment, Your Honor? Thank you, Ms. Adelson. I have no further questions.
Redirect examination.
The long list of plans that you went over with Mr. Rashbaum that you were going to have in Tallahassee post-murder date, none of those plans happened, right?
No,
Because you moved to South Florida, right?
because I felt unsafe to stay here, yes.
And did you feel safe in South Florida?
No,
Did you buy a house in Tallahassee after the murder?
no, I did not.
Did you rent a house in Tallahassee after the murder?
No, I didn't live in Tallahassee after the murder.
Did the boys go to school that fall here in Tallahassee?
No, all our plans were broken.
And what was the purpose of those questions? Of course you didn't. You moved to South Florida. You didn't have plans in Tallahassee that got executed. Why were you asked about all those things?
I don't know why I was asked questions by the defense counsel.
The book event that you were asked about, did that event happen?
I didn't speak at the event, but the event still happened.
Have you had several events related to that book that have happened?
I have.
And what events were those?
Do you mean just in Tallahassee or do you mean in other places?
Everywhere.
I've spoken at various schools about human trafficking and about my book. I think there was one event that still happened in Tallahassee about a year later.
And is that the only book you've written, or have you written more than one book?
I've only written one book.
What was the book about?
The book was about...
I think I'm going to slow this down to normal speed because it's not Rauschbaum. And I just like hearing Georgia give it to Wendi.
Human trafficking and about the vulnerabilities that lead to trafficking, the problems when it occurs, and basically how to recover from it after.
Where was the book set?
Speaking of the book, again, Shannon has done reviews of it, and she's finishing her final review. So make sure you subscribe to my wonderful wife's channel, Mindful Crime Couture. She's working on the final report about the book, so you don't have to read it because it's terrible, or also buy it.
It was set in a fictional town.
What was the name of the fictional town?
Hiawassee Springs.
So Hiawassee. Is it located in the panhandle of Florida?
No, I used to see the name when I was driving from Tallahassee to Orlando, so it's somewhere in between.
And was the place modeled after Tallahassee?
It was definitely somewhere in Florida, but not supposed to be about Tallahassee, no.
Who was the central character in that book?
So there's three central characters. One was one of my clients, kind of a composite character from Eastern Europe. One was kind of a composite character of many clients I've represented from Latin America. And one was a public interest lawyer.
And was the public interest lawyer Lily?
Yes.
And is that the character that's sort of based after yourself?
No, really more based after a friend of mine.
And was Hiawassee, Florida, quote, just a small stop on the way back to what we had previously known as civilization? Is that a quote from your book?
That sounds like a quote from my book, yeah.
And who's the husband of Lily, the public interest lawyer?
You want his name in the book?
Yes.
I think it was Josh Stone.
All right, and what was Josh's employment?
Josh was an English professor.
I'm sorry, what was your answer?
Josh was an English professor.
A professor, where did he teach?
It's been a while. I wrote the book over 10 years ago. I don't remember what I named the university in the
North
story.
Florida State University?
That sounds right.
NFSU?
NFSU sounds right, yeah.
And FSU, really a long stretch from FSU, but definitely not about Wendi.
All right, and
Look at this
And the-
goofy idiot with his dumb face and his dumb, goofy, like, smile. Like, this motherfucker really thought he was going to get off of this shit. And they came back in 3 hours minus a half hour having some Chick-fil-A or some sort of lunch. This goofy fucking idiot.
Book does Lily lament, quote, "We moved to this godforsaken place for Josh's career."
Yes, that sounds like a line Lily would say.
All right. When you looked at page 187 of the divorce document on cross, and I'll hand that back to you. This is actually my copy. From that page.
I don't.
Okay. It had to do with, let's see if I can find it, that you were very unhappy in the marriage. I think it's the third paragraph there.
I see that line.
Okay, the wife has been very unhappy in the marriage and files her petition for dissolution of marriage in August 2012. The husband continues to characterize this as abandonment, and then it goes on to say that he had been disparaging you to some of the folks at the law school. Do you remember reading that?
I do.
Was that intended to be the place in this binder where you allege emotional abuse by your husband?
I mean, I think it's emotionally abusive to suggest somebody has mental health issues.
Okay. What is the Prof's blog? You were asked about that on Cross.
Yeah, it was a blog that Danny started with some of his colleagues to kind of promote community in the law professor world.
And who reads the Prof's?
Probably
Prof's blog?
Probably other Latin kings who can't read.
Law professors and people interested in becoming law professors.
Who is on the Crim Prof listserv?
I don't know.
Were you on the listserv for that Prof's blog?
I may have been on the listserv at some point.
Do you remember seeing the post that you were shown on Cross?
I do.
Okay. And the post says something about Danny and I are planning to attend a conference that will begin Sunday, July 20th. Is there any other information on what you were shown about Dan's travel plans post-murder other than that?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat the question?
The post says, Danny and I guess it's another professor writing this thing. Danny and I are planning to attend a conference that will begin Sunday, July 20th. Is that the type of information that he would typically have on something like the Prof's blog or Facebook?
That sounds right.
Okay, but as far as the date he's leaving, the flight he's on, that kind of stuff, would that typically be on the Prof's blog?
He wouldn't put what flight number he was on, but he would almost always communicate when he was going on a trip.
Okay, so going to a conference that starts July 20th might be an example.
Flying to New York tomorrow would be.
Why believe Lewis? Because he was under oath. I believe Lewis because he appears to tell the truth. He doesn't embellish like Wendi. He doesn't make up stories. Lewis appears to tell the truth and be very credible, unlike all of the Adelsons. That's why I believe him. And he's consistent on every time he says the same thing. That's why I believe him.
Be an example.
Okay.
But
he didn't
not
put
a flight number.
But he didn't put flying to New York tomorrow on this occasion.
No.
You were referenced several times, not on direct examination by the state, but by your brother's attorney on cross as a co-conspirator. Are you charged in this case?
No.
This isn't your trial, is it?
No.
Is your brother charged with conspiring with you to do a murder?
No.
Is he charged with conspiring with you to plan a murder?
No.
Is he charged with soliciting you to do a murder?
No.
Who is he charged with doing those things with?
I don't think anyone.
Have you had an opportunity to review his indictment in this case?
I have not.
Give you an opportunity to take a look at that document to yourself.
Magbanawa.
Brother alleged to have done these crimes with?
Catherine D. Magbanawa.
Were you on the wire in this case, Ms. Adelson?
No.
So when the bump happened, are you familiar with the event I'm referencing as the bump?
I am now.
When law enforcement approached your mother on the street and handed her a piece of paper?
Yes.
Okay. When that occurred, who did your mother call?
I don't know.
Not you, right?
Not me.
Okay. And once your brother found out about the bump, did he call you about it?
No.
Who did he call?
I don't know.
Well, you listened to the calls to authenticate the voices, didn't you?
Just to hear the voices, not to hear the content of the calls.
Okay. And the voices were your brother's voice, right?
But I listened to the calls just to hear who was on them, so I don't know what content they're referencing.
I heard your answer. My question to you now is, your brother's voice was on the calls.
He was on some of the calls I listened to.
Okay. Your mother's voice was on the calls.
She was on some of the calls I listened to.
Did you have any secret meetings with your brother post bump that happened in South Florida?
No.
You were asked about Jeffrey Lacasse and the way that your relationship ended. What is OkCupid?
OkCupid is a dating website.
Were you on that dating website?
I was.
Were you on that dating website at the time that you were dating Mr. Lacasse?
No, I wasn't.
And were you speaking, so I guess if you weren't on it, you weren't speaking to multiple men from the website during the time you were dating Mr. Lacasse. And I'll remind you that you provided your phone in this case and it was cell-brighted, downloaded.
Objection, Your Honor. Argument.
I mean, this is Georgia saying to Wendi, we have your OkCupid. You're lying right now. I'm reminding you of that. We have the evidence, which has not come up yet, which you're saving for Wendi, folks. That has not come up, I don't believe, in any of the trials, the proof that she had OkCupid and was maybe, I don't think so, but they have more shit on her, folks. They have more shit on her that they're saving for her trial. I'll remind you, you gave your phone, dummy. Thank you, True Crime Wifey. Thank you so much. Her book was not required reading. Book was given to freshmen. Author would speak. Attendees got free barbecue buffet afterwards. Ah, interesting. Thank you, True Crime Wifey.
Just... Go ahead. Didn't you just say that you weren't on OkCupid at the time that you were dating Jeffrey Lacasse?
I don't know when we say I officially stopped dating Jeff Lacasse, but there's a chance that, I don't remember in 2014 whether I had gotten the app and started talking to people before we officially broke up.
Okay, so my point...
I can't remember if I was cheating on him. I mean, it was so long ago. Did I get OkCupid and message a bunch of other men while I was still with Jeff and it upset him? I don't know. Who could remember?
The point is, there's a chance that he was right. You were being unfaithful, or at least talking to other people. He had a reason to be jealous.
I think he had some serious jealousy issues that may or may not have been founded.
Yeah.
May or may not. So he may have had information.
Yeah, I think we got from your testimony that you believe he had serious jealousy issues. My question to you is, did he have a reason to be?
No.
So he was wrong.
He was wrong in June when he accused me of being with multiple people that I wasn't with, yes.
Okay. What was wrong with Dan's mother trying to make arrangements for the kids in the event of your arrest? Wasn't that a kind thing to do?
I don't think it's kind to put my children in foster care.
Wasn't the foster care intended only to cover the time frame that it would take for her to get on a plane and get here?
She never said that.
You thought she was just going to leave him in foster care?
I didn't know what to think. They have a mother. They don't need to be in foster care.
But they wouldn't have a mother in the event of your arrest, Ms. Adelson. Wasn't that the intention of the email?
I don't know what the intent of the email was. I was not going to be arrested for a crime I didn't commit.
She didn't know that, though, did she?
I don't know what she knows or doesn't know. I can't speak to that.
Do Dan's parents know whether you committed this crime or not?
I don't know how to answer that question.
How would they? Particularly back at the time that she sent that email. It was fresh at that time, right?
I'm sorry, what was fresh?
All the events that were occurring, the arrests.
That was 2 years after Danny's murder. I don't know what she knew or didn't know. I know that my children don't belong in foster care.
Was it a specific foster care that she was requesting be called in the event that the children had no place to go and were going to be going into the custody of the state?
She did suggest a specific foster care agency.
A Jewish-run foster care agency?
A Jewish foster care.
Okay. How many times have the kids visited Dan's parents since this murder?
Many. It'd be hard to count.
Countless times?
Countless times.
How many times have they seen him in the last year?
We had a visit with Danny's dad and the boy's cousin this summer. We've had a lot of Skype visits. They do live in Canada, so it makes it a little bit harder to have in-person visitation. But every time they've asked for it, we've arranged it.
Every time they've asked for a visit, you've arranged it?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times have they seen him in the last 5 years?
Again,
countless?
As in the last 5 years, that overlaps with the time when they tried to put them in foster care. So since we've reestablished relations, we've seen them about twice a year, whenever they come down to Florida.
So in the last 5 years, they've seen him how many times? 2 or 3 times a year?
About that.
Has this been a major issue between you and Dan Markel's parents? This issue of them having access to the kids?
The issue of them trying to put them in foster care is a major issue.
No, ma'am, that's not my question.
I'm sorry.
Hasn't the issue of them trying to get access to your kids been a major issue? At least for them.
Since they tried to put the children in foster care, yes. Before that, it was not a problem.
Are you familiar with their work across the street at the legislature trying to get bills passed to give grandparents rights to see kids?
I'm familiar with their grandparents' legislation, but it's actually unconstitutional.
Okay.
This is where she gets really mad.
Are you mad?
Wendi doesn't know what the consequences to contempt are, but she does know that what the Markels are doing is unconstitutional. She knows it. Look how mad she gets there.
Okay. Are you mad? Are you angry that according to your brother's theory, he and your mom have known who killed your children's father since 2014 and you weren't told who it was?
I'm more angry that somebody killed my children's father.
So you're not mad about that they knew this whole time? That's what they're saying.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
That's the theory of the defense in this case, is that he's known the whole time. Your brother's known what happened to Dan. Does that make you angry?
I'm angry about so many things, it's hard to...
Is that one of them?
Separate them.
Well, try.
I'm confused. It's hard to process.
And apparently, according to his lawyer, these killers had threatened to kill your brother's family members as well. Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
And that would be you, right?
It would.
Were you told that a specific threat had been made by the same people that had killed your ex-husband to kill your brother's family members?
I was not told.
Would that have been information you would have liked to know back in 2014?
Yes.
Would you have made the same decision to move down to South Florida, closer to the killers?
No, I would not.
And even after the killers were arrested in 2016, you weren't told that that's what was going on the whole time?
I found out yesterday.
No further questions.
Members of the jury are being instructed to disregard the comment of the witness as to the constitutionality of any portion of the Florida statutes.
It's pretty funny because there wasn't even an objection. Judge Everett's just like, listen, you can't listen to this idiot. She doesn't know what she's talking about, constitutionality.
As to the constitutionality, are being instructed to... Members of the jury are being instructed to disregard the comment of the witness as to the constitutionality of any portion of the Florida statutes. You may step down.
But that is not the end of Wendy's testimony. They had to go a little bit out of order because they had to ask Jeff about what she said. So I believe about you know, when she took him aside and told him, not jokingly, that Charlie. So I think let me see where that is. She comes back. There she is. Hold on. After June. There she is.
Adelson, you remain under oath. You may be seated.
Ms. Adelson, we've got 2 points we need clarification on from you.
By the way, I really hope that they make her have to stay 2 days, or like because she's have to come from Texas for Donna's trial. So let's mess up her plans, hopefully, some way.
When we talked about your relationship with Jeffrey Lacasse, we talked about a occasion on July 13th, 2014. It would have been the Sunday before the murder. And on that occasion, did you, at your residence that evening, in the context of discussing the relocation issue involving you and your children moving to South Florida, did you say that Charlie, your brother, this defendant, had explored all options to resolve the problem, including hiring a hitman, and it would cost either $15,000 or $50,000?
No.
And did you have a conversation with Jeffrey Lacasse at your residence that night where you said you wanted to share something in confidence with him?
No.
Did you ever say that your brother had seriously hired a hitman where you weren't repeating the joke? You were serious. All right. And second point for clarification involves that dinner where you got sick at the dinner table. You recall which evening I'm speaking of?
I do.
This would have been about 2 weeks to a month after the homicide, I believe. Okay. And on that occasion, did you ever tell Jeffrey Lacasse that Charlie had referred to the dinner as a celebration dinner?
No.
Did you ever tell Jeffrey Lacasse that it was a celebration dinner?
No.
No further questions.
Cross-exam.
Very briefly. Good afternoon. During your interrogation, do you recall Jeffrey Lacasse's name coming up?
Yes.
And do you recall that it was Jane McPherson who brought up his name, not you?
Yes, correct.
And do you recall, as a result of his name being brought up, he
By the way, if Wendi has a trial, we better get some Jane McPherson testimony. I want to hear what she has to say. That hyena
was considered a suspect?
Yes.
And you recall that Detective Isom asked you a lot of questions about him?
Yes.
And he asked you about his car?
Yes.
And he asked you about his travel schedule.
Yes.
And he asked you for his information so that he could speak with him, correct?
Correct.
But you didn't bring up his name, right?
No.
You didn't try to frame Jeffrey Lacasse for any murder, right?
Absolutely not.
In fact,
Absolutely. Jack will say never a truer word. When you're saying absolutely not, you're lying.
Jane McPherson was the one who brought up his name, correct?
She was.
I have no further question.
Please approach.
By the way, do we think Wendi will wear this outfit for Donna's trial? These two idiots don't even look at each other.
But Jeffrey Lacasse's name did come up while you were in the interview room being interviewed in reference to the shooting, right?
Jane McPherson brought him up.
She was in the room with you during the interview.
For some of it, not for the whole time.
Okay, but during the part where Jeffrey Lacasse's name came up, she was in the interview room with you.
Yes, she brought him up.
And this is the same interview that we've referenced previously where you were taken from the restaurant to be told about what happened with Dan.
Yes.
Nothing further.
You may step down, ma'am. Will Miss Adelson be recalled by either the state or the defense again?
Certainly hope not, Your Honor.
You remain under subpoena.
My God, Georgia hates her
Please
so
call
much.
Certainly hope not.
Miss Adelson be recalled by either the state or the defense again.
Certainly hope not, Your Honor.
You remain under subpoena. Please call your next witness.
Jeffrey Lacasse.
Yeah, I am dying to know if Rob is going to get called. Is Rob going to get called for Donna's trial? He has been on the witness list for all the trials, but he has never been called. Man, there's just so many dynamics to this trial that are going to be freaking wild with, Wendi testifying against her mom. Is Harv going to be in the audience the whole time? Charlie, potentially. I mean, Charlie will plead the fifth, but they're going to call him, right? Even if he pleads the fifth, wouldn't you think they would call him just to bring his stupid ass out in shackles? Katie testifying. Will she give any more information? I mean, Lewis is going to give the same information he gives every time. But that is it for A Little Cold. I almost died this week, Bob. How dare you? Thank you all so much for being here. That's the end of Wendy's. We're going to do Jeff Lacasse next. I think that'll be a good contrast. See Wendi the liar, Jeff telling the truth, in my opinion. So probably Tuesday night, as long as I'm feeling right, and then definitely we'll do next Saturday at 10. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to try to cover the first week of trial. I don't have enough time to cover 2 weeks of trial, which will probably be 2 weeks. So I'll cover, I'm going to try to cover the first week and then do like nighttime recaps. Still trying to figure that out, but I'm going to cover it in some way. If I don't do it live during the days, I'll definitely do night recaps, but I'm going to cover some of it during the day for sure. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you. Have a good weekend, and I'll catch you next week. We will continue the rewatch with Jeff Lacasse, the man. Thank you all. Have a good weekend. Goodbye, everybody.